Hello everyone. In our last video, we created this particular ESS job supplier details report to run a report. Now in this video, we'll create one integration to trigger this ESS job, then check the status of the job, and after the completion of this job, we'll get the output in the SFTP location. So if you didn't watch the last video, please do watch. You can find the link in the description. Now I'll go to OIC. Now in this integration, we need three connections, which are REST, FTP, and ERP Cloud Adapter. So I already created these connections in our earlier videos. So if you want to refer the setup of this connection, do refer those videos. You can find the videos in my OIC playlist. You will find the link of the playlist in the description. Now I'll go to integration and create our integration. So I'll click on the create button. I'll choose application and provide the name as intg0114 as this is our 14th integration. Now I'll click on create. Now first of all, I'll choose the REST triggered connection, which is REST 001, and I'll provide the name as request. Continue. For the endpoints URI, I'll provide slash. Action I'll choose as post. Then for the request payload, I'll check this checkbox of request payload. Continue. Then we have to provide the request payload JSON. So I'll click on inline. And here I am providing two attributes, which are business unit and output path. The business unit value will be used to run the report through ESS job, and in the output path, I'll provide the SFTP location, and in that location, the ESS job output will be written. Now continue, finish. Now I'll add one assign activity to store few values in the variables. So I'll choose assign. So basically in the variables, I'll store the job definition name and job package name for our ESS job. So I'll click on plus and provide the name of the variable as v job package name. And I'll copy the job package name from the ESS job, which is the path. So I'll copy this path and go to Notepad and I'll paste it here. And before this path, we have to add Oracle /apps/ESS /custom. So this is the path that we have to use for our job package name. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it in the value section for the v job package name variable. Now I'll click on plus to create another variable, and that is v job definition. And I'll copy the job definition from the ESS job, which is SUPDET-REP, and I'll paste it here. Then I'll create one more variable, which is v job status. I'll use this variable later to store the status of the ESS job. Currently, I'll keep it blank. Now I'll save this. Now I'll add one scope, and within the scope, I will add all our actions. The scope will be used to handle any error, and whenever any error is occurred, then it will catch that error and send the notification of the error details. So I'll click on the plus icon and search for scope. Now within the scope, first I'll add the ERP Cloud Adapter connection to trigger the ESS job. So I'll search with ERP, and this is the connection ERP Cloud 001. So I'll select this and I'll provide the name as submit ESS job. Continue. And here we have three options. Now to submit the ESS job, we have to choose the first option, which is query, create, update or delete information. So I'll select this and continue. Now here, instead of business object, we have to choose services. Now we'll search the services with ERP, So to trigger the ESS job, we have to select this particular service, ERP integration service. Now I'll go down. Now for that particular service, we have to choose one operation, and I'll go down, and the operation will be submit ESS job request to trigger the ESS job. Now I'll continue. So you can see business object, ERP integration service, and operation is submit ESS job request. Now finish. Now I'll go to the submit ESS job map, and here we have to provide the job package name, job definition name, which I already stored in the variables. So this is our job definition name that will map to the job definition name, and v job package name I'll map to the job package name. And for the parameter, we have one parameter in our ESS job, that is business unit. For that, I will expand the request wrapper. Now I'll map the business unit to the param list. And if you have multiple parameters in your ESS job, then you can just right click on the param list and you can click on repeat node. You can see one more param list is generated. So for your second parameter, you can map that to this particular param list. And if you have more parameters, then you can create more param list using the repeat node option. So we have only one parameter, so I'll delete this. Now I'll validate and go back. Now after submitting the ESS job, we have to check the job status until the job is not completed. So after the completion of the job, we can get the job output. So to implement this, we'll add a while loop, and within that loop, we'll check the job status, and the loop will be iterated multiple times till the completion of the job. So I'll click on the plus icon and I'll search with while. I'll select the actions while, and here we have to add the condition in what basis the loop will iterate. So in the value, I'll select one variable that I declared in the beginning, which is v job status. So in the v job status, we'll store the status of the ESS job, and that can be succeeded, error, or warning. So I'll put the condition as v job status not equal to succeeded. Then I'll add one more condition, which is v job status not equal to error. And lastly, the third condition will be v job status not equal to warning. So basically, when our ESS job will not be succeeded, error, or warning, in that case we identify that the job is not completed and we iterate the loop. But when the job is completed with any of the status, then we'll exit from the loop, and after that we'll get the job output. Now I'll save this, and now I'll add the action to get the job status. So for that, we have to again use the ERP adapter, and I'll provide the name as get job status. Now continue. I'll choose the first option, continue. Now similar to submit ESS job, we have to choose the services and then search with ERP, and I'll get the name as ERP integration service. And for the operation, now I'll choose get ESS job status to get the status of our ESS job, and I'll continue. So you can see business object, ERP integration service, operation get ESS job status. Now finish. Now I'll go to the get job status map, and here we have to provide the request ID to get the job status, and the request ID I'll get from the submit ESS job response. So I'll expand this, and you can see result is there, which is nothing but the request ID of the ESS job that we submitted. Now I'll map this result to the request ID. Now validate. Now this action is taking the request ID and it will provide us the status of the job, and that status I'll store in our variable v job status. So for that I'll use the assign again, and I'll click on the plus, and here we have to use the variable v job status, and in that we have to store the status of the job that I'll get from get job status response, which is result. So I'll drag this result here and save it. Now the status can be succeeded, error, or warning. And if it is not any of them, then in the while loop, the condition will satisfy and the loop will iterate. Once the status is succeeded or error or warning, then it will exit from the loop. And at that moment, we can identify that the job is completed. Now, after each iteration, we want to add some wait of 5 seconds, and after that, the next iteration will happen. So for that, I'll add one wait action. So I'll search with wait and I'll add 5. That means 5 seconds. I'll save this. So why I am adding this wait? Because sometimes the ESS job is taking some time. So there will be a lot of iteration of our loop, and that is why to reduce the iteration, I want to add one wait after each iteration. Now after the job is completed, we want to get the job output. So for that again we'll use the ERP cloud adapter to get the job output. So outside the loop, I'll click on this plus icon and I'll search with ERP and choose the ERP cloud adapter again. Now I'll provide the name as get job output. Now I'll continue. Now we have to choose the first option, continue. So similar to last two operations, we'll choose services and then search with ERP and choose ERP integration service. And now for the operation, we have to choose download ESS job execution details. So this operation will be used to download the job output. Now I'll continue, then I will finish. Now I'll go to the map of get job output. Here we have to provide the request ID to get the job output. So from the submit ESS job response, I'll map the result to the request ID. Now validate. Now we have to write the output files to the SFTP location. So for that, I will search with FTP and choose the FTP adapter connection and provide the name as write FTP output. Continue, continue, and I'll choose the operation write file. For the output directory, I'll provide slash, which is a dummy directory, and for the file name, I'll provide star. So I'll provide the exact values in the mapping. Now I'll continue. Now we do not want to specify any structure for the contents of the file. We just want to write the output file to the SFTP. So I'll choose no here and continue, then finish. Now I'll go to the map of write FTP output and I'll expand the output header type. So for the file name, I'll go to get job output response and I'll expand the result. Now here you can see the file name. So I'll map this file name to the file name. And for the directory, I'll expand the request wrapper. Here I can see the output path. So while we trigger the integration, we'll pass this output path of SFTP, and in that path I want to write the output file. So I'll map this output path to the directory and I'll expand this ICS file. Now the job output will be a zip file, and that zip file is stored within this content. So we have to map this content to the file reference to get the zip file in the SFTP. And one more thing, to get the zip file name, we have to remove this file name mapping, and you can see document name is there. So we have to map document name with the file name. So I'll drag document name here. Now save this. Now validate. Now in the scope, we have to handle the fault. So for that, I'll click on the three dot of scope and I'll add a default handler. And then in the default handler, I'll add one notification so that if any error occurs, then we'll get the error details directly in our email through notification. Now I'll click on the plus icon and I'll add one notification here, and I'll provide all the details in this notification. So you can see I have added three parameters here: v error reason, v error code, and v error details. And those values I'm getting from the fault, error code, reason, and details. And then in the body section, I'm providing these parameters: error code, reason, and details. So whenever we'll get some error, then fault handler will catch that error and send these details through notification. Now I'll save this. Now last thing, we have to add one primary business identifier. So that I'll add business unit. Now save. Now we are ready to activate and run our integration. So I'll activate. Now I'll run this integration. So I'll click on the run option. Now I'll go to body, and here I'll provide the business unit as EOS1 business unit. And for the output path, I'll go to SFTP and copy the output path and paste it here. Now I'll click on the run button. Now you can see it submitted the ESS job. I'll go to ERP schedule process and I'll refresh. Now you can see this is our supplier details report, which is triggered by the OIC. If you notice the process ID, which is 8482383, you can refresh and go down and expand the submit ESS job. So here you can find the process ID, which is 8482383. That is the same process ID that we just checked. Now go down, you can see it got 4 iterations before the completions. And if you go to last iteration, if you check the job status, you can see variable v job status was assigned with succeeded. And in the ERP, you can see our ESS job is succeeded. If you go down, you can see it is invoking the get job output. Then it is invoking the write FTP output. So I'll go to SFTP and I'll refresh. And you can see we are getting one output zip file. So I'll download this zip file to check the files within it. Now I'll extract this. Now if you open this, you can find there are 3 files within this zip file. The first file is the log file of the report. Then we have our report output, which is in CSV format. I'll open this output. So you can see we are getting the report correctly. And we have one more file, which is the XML report output. So if I open this file, you can find the data of the report in this file as well, but this is in XML format. And here you have to note one thing, that if our report output is in CSV format, then only we'll get the report output in CSV. If it is in any other format like PDF, then we'll not get that report output, but we'll get the XML file, and in the XML file you can check the data. Now thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Share this video within your circle. If you have any doubts or any suggestions, put that in the comment section, and do subscribe our channel. Thank you.